Listen, Pastor, AI is so much more than just a new trend you need to consider using. It is a new way for people to find your church, connect with your church, and I even believe get discipled through your church. And now it's not the end-all be-all. It'll never replace the Holy Spirit. In this episode, we're going to unpack some of the ways that the most successful churches are using AI to grow right now. Let's do this. Well, hey guys, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Ian.
And today we're talking about this question: could AI actually help your church grow? I meet a lot of pastors that are AI hesitant or AI cautious, which I think is actually good to be AI cautious. I don't know if I'd say hesitant is a good thing, but I think that we should be cautious about this because it is technology that will literally change the world. I've said before on this podcast, I think it's going to go down there with things like fire and the wheel as like the most important inventions in all of human history. There will be a before AI and after AI marker that we will think of the world as, even more so than things like the iPhone or the internet or social media that we kind of think in our lifetime we've seen. But yeah, I think it should be a good conversation to unpack some of these things. I think it's so important that churches really consider the ways that AI can be a tool to us, and we don't have to be hesitant. So, agreed, Ian?
Agreed. Or another word would be resistant. So hesitant and resistant, both similar but different. And there is still a resistance to it for sure, but I think that is harmful. So yeah, we should.
What's the pulse that you hear? I know you talk to pastors all the time. Do you feel like is it more resistance or is it more like excitement, or what do you hear?
It's interesting because, it comes up more in conversations now than ever before. I think for the purposes of how we help churches right now, obviously we utilize AI as a company but it doesn't come up, the details of it as much in conversations right now. It does come up, and obviously, but and actually it's coming up more in my conversations as it relates to the first topic we're going to be pointing out to here when it comes to how it's changing Google search and SEO, which is the first thing we were going to mention. So that's probably, Thomas, where I kind of am hearing more about it. But I think what you're maybe asking is, am I hearing a resistance? Am I I'm not hearing, a whole lot of that yet, or even someone very passionate about it yet, as far as pastors are concerned. So it's coming up more. It's being used by churches and media teams and everything else, but it's still not coming up as probably as much as it will here shortly.
Yeah, I think so. I lead a church staff. We have 8 employees or so on our staff, and then many volunteers on top of that. I would say the general feeling in my group is hesitance. Probably, I'd say it's 70% hesitancy and 30% excitement if I kind of broke people down into categories on things. But I really think that it is something that we should be cautious, but I would caution against hesitancy on these kinds of things. So what we want to unpack today is just 5 different ways that you can actually use it to help your church grow with caution, I think we should say.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah. And you alluded to the first one already. It's the idea that Google search is changing forever. This is something that we eat, breathe, and sleep here at REACHRIGHT. As many of you know, we help churches with the Google Ad Grant. We help churches with local search engine optimization. And we are completely aware that search engines are no longer operating the way they used to today. Like, we're already seeing a dramatic drop-off in the number of clicks that are happening on standard searches that people do. So where do all these clicks go? Well, what Google has found is that people want to have answers to their questions right when they search. So they have incorporated their AI into nearly every search, where it'll give you an AI overview of whatever the topic you searched about is. And the game has changed, really. So what the difference is it's no longer just about getting ranked on searches so that people click on your links when someone does a search. But the question you have to be asking now is, how do I show up in those AI overviews. So if someone types in church near me in their city, the idea is that there are some times where you can get your church's name into the overview that Google is going to give to people. So how cool would it be if AI started recommending First Baptist Church and actually saying this is a church that they should check out? This is the way people are starting to interact with things. In fact, we just saw here at REACHRIGHT that we're starting to get a trickle of people interested in our products and services, and the source, when someone kind of fills that out, whenever ChatGPT sends someone to our site, it says ChatGPT as the source. I don't know if you've seen that in our system yet, Ian, but we've had a couple of those. We've had a couple of those trickle in there. So we know that ChatGPT is actually recommending REACHRIGHT to some of the people that are searching for things that we do here. So pretty cool to take that all in. We're kind of seeing that right now. But yeah, it's going to be a real game changer. So I don't know. You have anything to add to that, Ian?
I do. It's just making me think of something very relevant for us right now. So as you always point out my age, Thomas, at 46, being just 1 year older than you, but me being the senior here at our company and the old man at 46, I've just hired another consultant for churches. She is great, and she is 28 though, not quite half my age, but close. But we had this conversation about, she talked when we started talking about AI when we recently brought her on, and how that's being implemented and how it affects what we do here. She said she loves ChatGPT. As a matter of fact, her husband is an AI developer. And so they are a young couple, and she uses ChatGPT more than Google, where I use ChatGPT now for sure more than ever, but I still rely upon Google for she will use Google, but it's the opposite, right? She uses ChatGPT more than Google. So it is definitely happening, so, and especially, so it was interesting. That's what came to mind. So, yeah.
I think that's the line on these things. Like, just because you're using Google doesn't mean you're not using AI, because Google is embedding AI in every single search. So yes, today, the standard for 90% of people in the US at least is putting a search into Google, but they're reading those AI overviews. But I am talking to more and more young people that are using ChatGPT instead. And I imagine they're probably using other things like Grok or Perplexity or Claude, or all of these are probably being used. And we should expect that to grow. So the question is changing from how do I rank on search engines to how do I get AI to recommend my church? That's kind of the big thing we're wrestling with right now. We have some good ideas, but that's for another podcast episode. We break down how you do that.
We can go on about it, right? So next one, though, is a good one. You're losing time you could be saving. And let me just say this before you elaborate, Thomas, that we know, and every pastor I talk to is very busy. Some of them are too busy. And it really can be a great resource to save time. And I think that's maybe not being... it's not looked at as being a time saver enough. It's looked at as something extra that someone has to learn. But and so your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things where, like anything, adding something new to your routine always takes a little bit of a step to kind of get over the initial hump of learning how to do it. But in this, I mean, I actually am surprised still. There are people out there that just are totally brand new to this. And maybe that's you. Maybe you're in our audience and you're totally brand new. I think that there's no way to really talk it out without you just experiencing it. And like, I think what happens is with AI is we all have this moment where it finally crosses over for us from like something I have to pour into to something that, wow, like that actually changes the game for me.
It helped me.
I had this happen probably 18 months ago or so, where it was something that I just said, okay, we were using it sparingly. Like before ChatGPT, we were using something called Jasper that was helping our bloggers, our writing team write articles more efficiently. But this is kind of like a very early version of ChatGPT. I'm sure they were probably using OpenAI and it was just kind of a wrapper for it. But you come up with this, you start to see it, and then you really see like, this could save me so much time. So today, like any like long form bit of communication I ever do, I'm running it through AI. Now, that's not to say that I hit send on whatever AI sends my way,
Sure.
but I am, like today I did an email that was going out to some of our long-term clients just to kind of thank them for something. And it was probably about 4 or 5 paragraphs. And so I started by using another tool we're going to talk about later in here, but dictating a long prompt. It was probably about 300 words or so about the sentiment I was trying to get across and what I want to say. And then I had ChatGPT draft the email for me. So like, I think just that alone, I know in my ministry life, there's so much of this kind of communication that it would be valuable just to take that off of my plate and have it draft long form messages. So I think it's appropriate to do that for your weekly church newsletters, for instance, any like major policy changes or longer form. Now, I don't use it for text messages, or I don't use it for, sending Slack messages in our company, that kind of stuff here. But just communication by itself has been a huge time sink. It's also just like such a time saver for me when it comes to data analysis. So I look at things like our church's numbers, our social media metrics that we have, our financial numbers. It's important that you anonymize everybody's information. But once I've done that, just putting that into ChatGPT and having it do some data analysis for me, all of these things are saving me, I would guess probably, like real talk, I think probably 5 to 10 hours a week is how much time I'm saving. But what that doesn't include is like the things I would never do because it would have taken me 40 hours to do, like the data analysis stuff that I can do. I would never actually like do that stuff by hand because it would just take too long and I wouldn't have time to do it. So realistically, 5 to 10 hours a week, but it actually is saving me a lot more than that because I'm doing much more high value things that would take a really long time. So that's my thought.
Yeah. That's good. And the next one here is by not using AI, you're not multiplying your message. And I think we're talking more about the lines of turning one sermon or message into 10.
Yeah. So this is a huge thing. So one of the biggest challenges is getting content out to the masses for churches. So most churches now, we are doing some kind of recording, usually video, of our Sunday services, specifically the sermon portion. And that's very valuable to have sermons online, extremely valuable. Put them on YouTube. That's the most valuable place to put them. They have a very long shelf life. Your sermons will be valuable 2 years from now still because you'll have an archive and a message you preach. I'm preaching this weekend on the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. That will be just as valuable in 2 years as it is today, right? So put it on YouTube. But the challenge we have is we have all of these other places we can put things, but we just need to format it the right way. We need to put it into the correct format. And so AI is a great tool to help us do those kinds of things. So the obvious one is using a AI video processing tool like a Sermon Shots or one of the many clones, like the secular versions of it. There's lots of them out there. Using a tool like that to take a long form video, let's say you do a 30-minute sermon, and turn it into bite-sized individual pieces that people can then use and put onto Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Facebook Reels and all those places, right? So using AI to do that, it's like you take one piece of content and these tools like Sermon Shots, they turn it into like 20 different clips. Here's the thing. Only a couple of them are going to be actually useful. Like some of them will be just you reading the Bible or something like that. Nothing wrong with that, but it's probably not a riveting reel that everybody is going to stop and watch if it's just you reading a passage from the book of 2 Timothy or something like that. So huge value in this though. A couple of them, even if it makes 20, if you get 2 or 3 videos that are usable, you've then made not just one edition or 3 pieces of content, you've made 3 times every platform, times TikTok, times Facebook, times Instagram, times, Twitter X if you want to do it on there, times YouTube Shorts. So really it's more like you made 15 new pieces of content in a matter of what it takes to process it, usually about 10 or 15 minutes or so. So using a tool like that is a huge boost. There's also other tools that help you turn it into small group discussion guides or interesting social media posts. It can take your transcript and figure out all that stuff. So yeah, I really think that's one of the obvious ways I think that churches can use social media to save hours and hours every single week, and it'll help your church grow too. So good stuff.
Yeah. That is good stuff for a pastor for sure. And I think this next one is going to be interesting. It's interesting to me. I think it's going to be interesting to a lot of pastors and ministry leaders. But because you're not using AI, you're still typing out communication. What do we mean by this? How does typing even get replaced?
Yes, this is my favorite thing right now. I'm like totally sold on this. So much so that they roped me in and I pay their very small monthly fee because I use it so heavily. I stopped typing, basically. I don't type anymore. If it's more than I'd say 5 words, I don't type it. I now dictate it and I let AI type it for me. So the tool I use for this, I want to be clear about this. This has existed for a while where you could do like text to speech or speech to text, that kind of stuff.
Which I use too, yeah.
But it is a much higher level now. I know our kids make fun of us, right, for talking to our phones and like typing out. So I don't know what the technology difference is here. I assume that Google and Apple will get on the bandwagon here soon, and this company I'm about to mention probably won't really even exist in a few years because it's so hard. Maybe they'll get bought out by one of them. Okay. But as opposed to just having it take and recognize your speech, what this does is this tool called WhisperFlow. It takes your speech, it recognizes it, and then it processes it through AI and tries to figure out what did you most likely mean and what is the best way to format this. So what it'll do is you can just, on my computer, I hold my Control and Windows button, and then I just start talking. And I talk into this microphone. In fact, I did this when we were setting up this podcast episode. We wanted to change and add this very point to the episode. I did it by just holding it down and wrote our notes for it when we made a change to this, right? So you can talk. I use this all the time. So whenever I'm writing any emails, I especially, what I find myself using it most for is doing great prompts when I'm writing into ChatGPT. So I will press Control Windows, I'll start talking, and this will give me the ability to just talk in free form and probably do a 300 or 400 word prompt when I have a challenging issue that I'm dealing with or something I want to talk about and give it a lot of context. I would never take the time to type all of this stuff out, or it would be cumbersome to do that. But instead, I can talk it out, and it just makes me so much faster. So I am done typing anything over, I don't know what the actual line is, but certainly anything over a sentence, I would guess more like 5 words. I just Control Windows and talk. That's how I do everything. And so I know you are not doing it yet.
Right. And I was just about to comment on that. I'm not, but what I'm finding myself is more irritated having to type everything, that even if it's something short. And I do use, voice to text, and I use that, I use it in my car when I'm using Android Auto or all of that stuff. So, but I could see how this is a step further, and maybe after this podcast, we'll talk about how I can implement it, Thomas.
Yeah, I think you should. And then a couple things to say. So it's better than text or speech to text because it doesn't make those, all those mistakes that I always do when I text.
Oh, and the mistakes you got to clean up, and then it was like it didn't save you time anyway.
It didn't save you much. So are there mistakes still? Yeah. Okay, so today I was doing a long form prompt, and it got 350 of the words right. It got one wrong. I said 297 and it heard 255. I don't know why it heard that, but that's just what it put into there. And everything else was exactly right. But so it does still make mistakes. Like all things AI, you can't just say it and hit send. But I do think that it's so much better. And what I love is the formatting too. So if I start saying there's a few things I want to do. Number 1, I want to do this. Number 2, I'll do this. And number 3, I'll do this. It'll put it into a list. It'll actually format the text, make a nice list. It'll put in bold on certain things where it thinks it should be emphasized. It's really a cool way for it to process all of your text. So I am using this when I was sermon prepping. I will talk to it and have it write down, maybe I have some long form thoughts, or maybe I want to tell a story and get it into my kind of initial notes. I'll just tell my story to WhisperFlow. It'll clean it up. It'll put into the notes the right way. So I really recommend it. I think it's like $10 a month for the premium plan because I use it so heavily. I think everybody should probably give a shot to the basic plan and just give it a try and see how it goes for you.
Do you use it whenever you're razzing me over the weekend or making fun of my Dallas Cowboys?
I do, absolutely. So I actually use it to make prompts in ChatGPT to come up with Cowboys insults, is what I tell.
It's really not hard to come up with the insults,
no,
but
I don't need ChatGPT for that.
Yeah,
it's all in my heart. Yeah.
Well, last but not least, a good way to cap it off is just saying if you're not using this for church growth, you're not really preparing for the future. So we do believe that just based upon everything that's happening and where it's going. So
yeah, I think that there's a divide here, like between the young and the old. I certainly think that the young are more likely to use AI and ChatGPT and those kinds of things. And the thing we have to realize is that Gen Alpha will be AI native. Like this will be their language that they are familiar with. Gen Z to some extent, less to millennials, less to Gen Xers like yourself, and then,
yourself. Go ahead.
On the line. But I having said that, I don't want to just completely rule that out. Like I think that I'm seeing lots of boomers and lots of Gen Xers really lean into AI and just kind of realize that it's coming and this will be the language that we need to be able to speak into, and it'll be a part of our discipleship, and it'll be a part of faith building, and it's going to be something that we will either ignore and go the way of the Amish and say that AI was not for us, like they said electricity was not for us. Like, that's one choice we could make. I don't think that's the right one, though. I think it's to be there to help our world actually figure out what does it mean to use AI and a tool like this in a God-fearing, God-honoring context.
Of course.
That's my heart, is to do that. So that's the thing. It's going to change everything, and it's something we need to be prepared for. And I think churches that are not dabbling in it right now will have more ground to make up when it is fully here. So something I'm just thinking about and trying to get my church and churches all over the world on board with this idea that it's something we should at least be AI curious about and start digging in now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of churches are known for making up ground when it comes to technology, and but it doesn't have to be the case, and that's obviously why we're here to help. So, good stuff, Thomas.
Hey, I'd love to hear from our audience. If you guys are using AI in a way that is helping your church grow or save you time, please do share the things that you're using, the tools, the software. We'd love to dig into them a little bit. And if it's really something great, we probably will feature it on a future episode of the podcast. We're trying to talk about AI like half the time right now because we think it's that important. So thanks for being a part of the Reach Right podcast. Drop us your comments down below, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.